know how many people have not done something great in their life because of multiple reasons, and the big reason is fear? One of my biggest reasons that I chose not to do certain things in my life is because for decades I had a horrible stutter, and that was literally in my way, in my own mind, 24/7. I'd get up with it and go to bed with it every single day. And then I found ways to overcome it most of the time. I learned some techniques, some tricks, some tools to help me overcome it. And I wondered about you too. What do you have in your background or in your personality that drives you so crazy that you think that you can't do certain things? I use the word can't in quotes, that you can't do certain things in life because you have never done it before and you're afraid of doing it. I'll tell you, I've told this short story many times on these episodes, but just doing these shows in the beginning terrified the stuffings out of me. Terrified me. You know why? Because I didn't want to look foolish stuttering in front of you and embarrass myself in front of you. Because, you know, I feel that everybody watching is like Mary Poppins, maybe. Maybe you're practically perfect in every way. I'm not at all practically perfect in every way. I struggle and fall on my face all the time. So for me to be in front of the TV, sharing things I've learned, pretty intimidating, much less getting stuck and stuttering. In my world, in my life, I had to face fear head on. I had to stare fear in the face every time I got afraid. You know why? Because if I didn't stare fear in the face, then I was not going to be able to move ahead and do things that are, in some people's minds, extraordinary. But fear, for maybe you, maybe for people that you know, is a constant opponent who wants to stop you in your tracks. Today's episode, I'm sharing just a couple of ideas, a few ideas, that can help you potentially overcome some of the fears that have been keeping you back so far. It doesn't matter if you're 12, 22, 42, 82. You can still overcome fears that are holding you down, that, let me say it this way, that you have allowed to hold you back. That's what I've been dealing with the last few years. That, am I really focusing on things in my life that don't matter for the long haul? And I think if you look at it in your own life, that there have been times, maybe right now, maybe today, that you might be dealing with struggles and situations in your life that really don't matter. Let me give you a pretty real example. You and I have chosen to allow ourselves to be around people that don't know that they don't know. We've allowed ourselves to hang around people that are unethical and dishonest. We've allowed ourselves to hang around people that have no goals, no vision, no work ethic. And then they drag us down in a way, they pull us back consistently every single day from doing things that we need to do instead of focusing on areas where we need to go, where we need to focus on in order to change our lives for the better. Again, the older I get, I'm much more careful who I allow into my circle. Because anybody that you allow into your circle will either feed your fear, hear me, they will feed your fear and blow that fear up, or they will squash that fear and give you courage and inspiration to do things that you should be doing anyway. The point of the example is contentment is destroyed by comparison. I'll say that a few times. Contentment is destroyed by comparison. Let me say it one more time. Contentment is destroyed by comparison. So when you look at other people in your life and you get discouraged by how far they've come along in their lives, without understanding the backstory, without understanding all the blood, sweat, and tears, without understanding all the bloody noses they got from falling on their faces hundreds or thousands of times, you can't appreciate their journey because all you see is the end result. All you see is the successful area in their lives. That all successful people struggle too. If you are not willing to struggle a lot of times consistently, not stopping and starting, but consistently, you're not going to reach any level of success. So be willing to struggle. Be willing to make consistent mistakes, but learn something from each and every one of them so that one day you're going to wake up and say, you know what? I've made it because I didn't quit along that journey. Ever been driving down the road and you find yourself looking at the wrecked car on the side of the road, or the guy who ran out of gas, or whatever's going on the side of the road, and you find your car meandering toward what you're looking at? That's human nature, isn't it? So when you and I get distracted by the stuff that's going on around us that doesn't impact us in any way, what's going to happen? You're going to start meandering and start leaning toward that direction. Duh. Everything is hard before it's easy. But the hard part for most of us is deciding to do the hard work consistently in order to develop the habits that are long-lasting. The people I read about, even though they've developed habits that they've been doing for a long time, some days are still difficult to get up and do those things that have been ingrained in them to do them anyway. But they do it because they know the law of returns is far greater than going backward and doing things that are easy. Now, let me insert just a little commentary here for just a minute. There are people that are going to want to get you to really do things that are not only immoral, but unethical, and also compromise your self-worth. There have been people that I've had to work around over the last 30 years or so that were immoral, they were unethical, and it seemed like they were getting ahead at the moment. But if you have the ability to fast forward several years, you're going to see time after time that the people who seem to be getting ahead at the moment, again, if you look forward in time, are the ones that always have to look over their shoulder because they know that they've taken advantage of so many people in their lives. When something would stimulate me in the sense of tick me off or make me angry or frustrated, I would respond immediately. The older I'm getting, I'm trying to extend the delay between the stimulus and the response. And I think that's a great idea for you too, that you don't have to always respond immediately to a situation. And for me, I've purposely delayed responding in certain ways because I knew, based on I have a temper, that when I respond immediately, the response tends to be more than the situation's worth. In other words, if somebody offends me or makes me mad, how I respond to that sometimes is going to be multiple times higher than really what the person deserves for something that maybe they meant to do or they didn't mean to do. That we allow people who are negative, who have mouth problems, and I'll be polite, who have difficulties, who have struggles and issues, that we then mirror those issues and those struggles in conversations. Instead of being the wise one, instead of being the stronger one, and not allowing their issues to distract you from your peace. But when that happens, you don't just impact yourself, you impact everybody around you. So your words can literally destroy people, or they can lift people up. So watching what comes out of your mouth and what comes out of your fingers, guilty as charged, again, I'm no expert, can really have a detrimental effect on people around you that you may not even know, you may not even meet. I'm wondering how many times you in your own life, I know it's happened to me more than a few times, where we've been intimidated about approaching people that we probably wouldn't invite over to our house for dinner. When I would suggest to you that a good percentage of the people that maybe you would not invite to your house for dinner are influential in their own way, and also, as John Maxwell taught me years ago, that hurting people hurt people. Again, hurting people hurt people. So when you see people in your own life that are making not so nice waves, that are being probably, maybe not evil, but negative, maybe they're in the office and they're not being so kind in the office, maybe they're nasty in the lunchroom, maybe the teacher's barking at the kids more times than they need to be barking at the kids. Just remember, hurting people hurt people, because hurting people make waves that sometimes people that are not hurt don't make waves. So think about that in your own life. Think about all the times you have made waves in the lives of other people as a result of your pain, as a result of your frustration, as a result of your disappointment. You have made negative waves in the lives of other people. Instead of dealing with that independently or with a bunch of peers that get it, because I would suggest to you that most of the people in your life don't understand the pain that you're going through. Most of the people in your life don't understand your history because they haven't walked in your shoes. They haven't. But if you and I choose to look for people and or groups that have walked in similar sets of shoes, you're then able to open up and share with these people. And guess what? Their journey, their experience can impact you in a way that can dramatically change your life in a really powerful way. But the majority of people around you won't get it. So what I'm asking you to do, among several things in this episode here today, is to leverage the situations in your life whereby you can make waves in other people's lives. The older I get, and the more influence that I've been having in many parts of the world, I'm really trying to be extremely cautious. I don't always succeed because I'm very, very human. But I have to understand that every little thing that I say and or do is then magnified dramatically. Let me share that in maybe a different way. You know, there are some people that you've worked with, maybe some people who live in your home, that will take a small mistake that you have made and make that a model, but blow it up 10 or 20 or 30 times. But they ignore all the good habits you have. They ignore all the good things. They ignore all the wonderful things you do for mankind. They ignore that, but they take the small mistake and blow it up to be something big, and then they model it and create even a bigger monster from your mistakes. So what I'm asking you to do in maybe a kind of strange way is that you and I, me too, I'm talking to me too very much here today, is that you need to be very cautious of how you react to certain stimuli in your own life. One author said something to the effect of there's a space between a stimulus and a response. Again, there's a space between the stimulus and the response. Sometimes in my life, probably in your life, there was no space. There was a stimulus and there was a response. Sometimes the older you get, the wider that gap gets to be. So I'm asking you to think about the times today and next week and maybe last week that you've been faced with the opportunity to make a decision or to react in a certain way. I'm asking you on this episode to think about the waves that you're going to make as a result of the actions that you're thinking about taking.